What's up, guys, and welcome to another Underdog Best Ball Show. Joined with Mitch Snyder, as always. We're taking a look at some of these underdog drafts, and right now we're in March of 2022, so the big drafts right now are the Big Board Superflex Edition and rookies and sophomore drafts. I think we're going to try and sneak in a Superflex draft at the end of this show, but in the meantime, we'll be covering free agency and all the free agency relevant stuff that's happened over the last couple weeks. It's probably the craziest free agency that I can remember. Snyder, what do you think of what's been going on these last few weeks?
Yeah, it's been pretty wild here as of late with a couple of the big wide receivers on the move. Debatably, two of the best wide receivers in the league got dealt over the last couple of weeks, so that's definitely interesting. I think that's definitely going to shake up that division for sure as Tyreek Hill moved out of that division and then Davante Adams moved into that division. So that's going to be definitely interesting to see how that goes forward. I think that's just going to be a loaded division. You got Justin Herbert with the Chargers, and now you got Russ Wilson with the Broncos now. I mean, that's just going to be the most powerful conference, I think, in the NFL. So, yeah, I'm just ready to dive into this. We got some March Madness going on as well. Great coming back from Big T's house last week. We had a fun time there. So, yeah, ready to jump into this.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been a crazy free agency. A lot of these guys that have moved on to different teams, we didn't even expect to even be available or traded. Like Russ Wilson going to the Broncos, like you mentioned, Tyreek going to the Dolphins, and Adams going to the Raiders. And that was a crazy one because they signed him on as a franchise. They put the franchise tag on him, and next thing you know, they were trading him to the Raiders. Apparently, he wasn't happy with getting that franchise tag slapped on him, and supposedly him and Rodgers had been in communication that Adams wasn't happy, so Rodgers knew that Adams was leaving. It took Rodgers for a while to sign his contract, and I think he was kind of waiting to make sure that Davante was taken care of. But when they put the franchise tag on him and they were continuing to try to negotiate with him, he just got sick of it and decided to go to the Raiders. And so Packers honored him for allowing him to do a trade like that. Joins his old college quarterback Derek Carr. Those two are going to have a potential chemistry together. We've seen a lot recently with college wide receivers getting drafted to join their college quarterbacks, and we've seen that be successful. We've seen some instant chemistry with that kind of stuff happening with Jamar Chase, most recent example, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith on the Eagles. So there's been some success there with wide receivers joining their college quarterbacks, but Adams and Carr, they haven't played together in 10 years, Snyder? So that'll be interesting. What do you think of the chemistry? How do you think they're going to connect again?
Yeah, I think they've been good friends off the field since college days, so I think they can kind of mesh together pretty easily. It's going to be a good joint meeting there for them. The chemistry should still be there, I think. I think that's going to be great for that offense going forward. Josh McDaniels is there. I mean, he's a great offensive mind. I think he's ready to turn the corner as a head coach this time around. So interested to see how that works out for sure.
Yeah, I misspoke on McDaniels last time because I was thinking that he was the coach that was behind Tebow's playoff run, but no, that was the year after he left, and supposedly he got unceremoniously let go because there was some sort of a taping scandal where his head of video or something like that was recording a practice in a game that they had in London of the opposing team. So he got let go a couple weeks after that and never really got that opportunity to kind of prove what he had as a head coach. So we'll see what happens here on the Raiders. They've done a good job, the GM and McDaniels, in putting together some good offseason moves. Obviously, we mentioned Adams. They also got Chandler Jones and Rock Ya-Sin. The only thing they really lost was Zay Jones, who went to Miami. So looks like the Raiders are pretty intact as far as their offense from last year, and their offense got them to the playoffs last year. So hopefully with stronger head coaching, like maybe they'll put up more offensive numbers now, like with the addition there. But the Chiefs are the big loser, like you said, in this division. Every team got stronger, it seems, except for the Chiefs. They ended up losing Tyreek, and they picked up Juju Smith-Schuster as a replacement. They lost Byron Pringle as well. So it'll be interesting to see where the Chiefs fit in this division now that everybody jacked up their teams to compete with the Chiefs, and now the Chiefs are doing the opposite of the other teams. They're kind of dealing with the reckoning of the salary cap with Mahomes' huge contract coming due this year. So that was why they weren't able to pay Tyreek, and Tyreek got traded to the Dolphins. So what do you think of the Chiefs' chances here this season?
I think it was good for the Chiefs to get rid of Tyreek. I was looking through his stats. His yardage per reception has actually dropped the last 5 years. And this year it was the lowest in 5 years. It was almost back to his rookie year. He only, I think his average yards per reception was right at 11 yards, which was a 3-yard downcrease from the year before. So I think he's kind of starting to trend downwards. He's going to start getting older, and he's going to lose some of that speed. That game-breaking speed was the biggest thing that he had going for him. So I think it was good for them to get rid of him. They added Juju. Today you look on the Chiefs or Juju's website or whatever, that TikTok or whatever the hell they call it. Juju's on there doing a TikTok dance with his Kansas City uniform. That could be a disaster with Juju and little Mahomes, whatever his name is. I like to forget about him, but that could be a disaster if it goes sideways there. But they still got Mahomes. They should be fine. But like I said, that division is just going to be so tough this year. It'd be tough to see the Chiefs go forward this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you got to feel for a guy, AP, watching those Juju TikTok videos come out. He had to already deal with this stuff with Jackson Mahomes. So not a good scene over there right now. But maybe they'll pick up another receiver. They got 2 first round picks in the draft, so they have potential to pick up a decent receiver there. Maybe Treylon Burks falls to them or something. Treylon kind of crashed at the combine, so his draft stock has gone way down. So he's right there in the projected range of the Chiefs now. Maybe he'll go a little bit before the Chiefs. Chiefs got the 29 and 30 picks this season, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm almost positive that they'll have to take a wide receiver. You got to figure, right, Snyder?
Yeah, I think they could. If Treylon Burks drops to them, I think the top 3 receivers getting drafted this year, Drake London will be gone well before that. Jameson Williams will probably be gone too. I could see Treylon Burks dropping to him. Maybe Jahan Dotson from Penn State. Treylon Burks is compared to A.J. Brown. Similar 40s, broad jumps really close too. Similar builds as well, height and weight. I think that would be a pretty good selection for them there if they're there. Otherwise, there's about 10 to 15 other receivers that are looking pretty good as well that they could go to in the second and third rounds.
Yeah, for sure. So the other team in this division, the Broncos, they obviously improved with the addition of Russ. They had to trade away Drew Lock, and they lost Noah Fant. But for what we were talking about in that first show, we were talking about drafting Albert O pretty late in that draft. So it ends up working out for that strategy. Albert O now becomes the starting tight end in the Broncos offense with Russell Wilson as his quarterback. And Russell Wilson has shown a propensity to go for those tight ends in the past. He also gets, obviously, Cortland Sutton as his new weapon and Jerry Jeudy. So he's got a stacked offense. They got great running backs there, too. They still have Melvin Gordon, I believe, and they have Javonte Williams. So they're a stacked team as far as their offense, and their defense is still good too. So they're going to be a force in this division this season. They finally got the quarterback that we've always been hoping for to unlock these weapons. So what are your thoughts there? What do you think with the Broncos' chances in this division?
I think Russ Wilson actually takes over a very good offense. So they got a lot of young talent there. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. They got one of the most handcuffed running backs I hated to see last year, all DFS. Javonte Williams, I think he's an absolute stud. So I think this Broncos offense is going to be very well this year. Russ is only going to help bring this mesh this offense together really good. I mean, he's good at his decision making. He's not going to take many chances. He's going to protect the ball, and that rush game is going to be a huge benefit to Russ Wilson. Pete Carroll always liked to try and jam the ball down the field, but the running backs there just weren't that good. I think Javonte is going to be a good mix to him there, allowing Russ to set up some play action to Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton and the rest of the guys there. So I really like the Broncos offense going forward. I'm pretty bullish on them as a whole team going forward. I think they have a good chance to win this division. I think it's down to Denver and the Chargers to win this division.
Yeah, you're right. I'm with you on that. I like the Chargers personally. I was able to bet on the Chargers to win the division not too long ago. MGM had them at plus 1,100, so I got that price. I tweeted it out, and lo and behold, 3 days later they're down to something like plus 800. So we got a good plus 300 in value there. But the Chargers made some big improvements on their defense, and they have re-signed Mike Williams, which is great. They added Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. They added Sebastian Joseph Day, Gerald Everett, the tight end there too. They didn't really lose anybody consequential. So I really like the Chargers in this division. You kind of combine that defense with their aggressive strategy going forward on fourth a lot with an offense that can deliver on that, and they've already been doing it for a year. So yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers could make a run this season. I bet on them to win the AFC as opposed to winning the actual division, because I felt like the AFC West is too loaded. Anybody could win that division, but that doesn't exclude a second-place team from the AFC West to win the actual AFC. So that's why I kind of chose betting on the conference as opposed to the division there. But yeah, I think overall, big moves in that division. That's going to be the force in the AFC, and the AFC is running laps around the NFC right now as far as competing teams for the playoffs. There's going to be something like 13 teams that are playoff worthy teams in the AFC, and only 6 of them can advance. So it's going to be a lot of disappointment for some of these stacked teams. So if we go to the AFC North, if we go to the AFC North, we're looking at the Browns, who have the biggest improvement over there. Actually, I take that back. I think the Bengals made a big improvement because they fixed their biggest weakness with the O-line over there. I'm still laughing. The Browns, though, they made a huge improvement at wide receiver. We don't know what's happening still with the Deshaun Watson situation. He got grand jury found that they wouldn't be able to find him guilty on nine charges. They decided against a criminal prosecution on Deshaun Watson. That doesn't mean he's innocent, but it definitely doesn't mean he's guilty. So things are going legally the right way for him. He just found out today that more charges are going to be brought in front of a grand jury in a different county. So his legal issues are still there. We don't know what's going to happen. These are accusations. They're not solid evidence behind them that have been proven in court, at least. So we don't know how that's going to play out. But it's possible that the NFL decides to suspend him regardless. They could give him a 4-game suspension, maybe 6 games. Don't know how it's going to be played out. When Tyreek ran into a similar issue a few years ago. It was a domestic violence issue, and he wasn't criminally charged with anything. So the NFL ended up giving him 0 games as a suspension, and it ended up being opportunity to get Tyreek really cheap in the preseason, because he was going somewhere in the 12th round or something like that. And when we found out there wasn't going to be any suspension, he jumped all the way up to first, second round. So these types of situations, Deshaun, I'm not sure where he's going right now. Last time I checked, he was going in probably around the 12th round. I would imagine at this point he's probably closer to the 6th to 8th round. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes from there. I think there's a good possibility that he gets suspended regardless of what the outcome is, but I'm not counting on that either. I wouldn't bet against him getting 1 or 2 games or no suspension. What are your thoughts on there?
I think they could maybe give him 1 to 3 games. I don't know it's hard to say. He was never really charged of anything, so therefore, it's a tough road to go down to, I think. But I do think Deshaun Watson is a top five quarterback from a raw talent standpoint. So I really like Deshaun Watson. In DFS, I think he's going to be a good guy to go to sometimes. Best ball, I think he's a great option for a QB2 or maybe even your first QB, depending on how you go about it. So I actually do like Deshaun Watson quite a bit this year. They got Amari Cooper there. Njoku's still there. So I'm going to be pretty it's still the Browns. They're going to find a way to screw it up eventually, though. They got the Bengals and the Ravens there. The Ravens are going to be tough. I'm looking forward to a healthy Ravens team coming back. They signed a couple more guys on the defensive side. That secondary only got stronger, so that secondary is going to be very tough this year. They got some good guys on the defensive line. The linebackers are still there. All in all, that defense is going to be pretty ferocious this year. They got Lamar Jackson. J.K. Dobbins is going to be coming back healthy this year. I think that was a huge loss for them last year, losing J.K. Dobbins. And their stud guard, Ronnie Stanley, didn't play last year either. I think those two are going to be 2 huge additions coming back to them this year. And they've got 7 picks inside the top 4 rounds, the top 140 draft picks. I think they got 7 draft picks. So they've got a lot of different ways they can go to there if they want to grab another receiver or something. There's a lot of receivers in this draft. The Steelers, I think the Steelers are going to be pretty dusty this year. They added Trubisky, who I think sucks. The rest of, I think that whole franchise is about ready to go into a spot that they haven't seen in quite a while. I think they're going to turn into the old Cleveland Browns for a couple years until they can rebuild that up. But yeah, for this division, I do think Watson's going to be a huge addition to the Browns over Baker. Amari Cooper, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be good there. The Bengals, we know what they have. Jamar Chase is an absolute freak. He's going to be coming back. That offense is going to be really good again. Hopefully they can get some linemen and a little help on defense there. But looking at, I think the Ravens are going to win that division. But I'm definitely going to say that always. So
yeah, I'm going with the Bengals. I just think that they have, just an all-around solid offense now. I'm interested to see how that O-line gels. Hopefully they come together pretty quick. But you're right about the Ravens. They get their injured players back. They didn't really do much in free agency, so that was a little disappointing. But they, like you said, they get their players healthy, so that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I still give the edge to the Bengals, though. I don't think the Browns might, even though they got Watson, and I agree with you, he's a top 5 quarterback, but like we said, he could have a few games suspension at the top, and I don't even know who they're back, because they're getting rid of Baker. Baker's not playing for them this year, so we don't know where he's going to go. So I don't even know who's going to be the starting quarterback for them at this point, like for those first few games if Watson's out. But there's talk that Jarvis Landry might end up staying with the Browns. Before, it was almost a sure thing that he was going to be leaving, but now that they got a quarterback, I think he's a lot more interested in sticking around. They lost Austin Hooper as well. So Njoku, hopefully they'll actually use him this year with Hooper gone. But they still have that younger tight end, name escapes me, Harrison Bryant. So we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, Njoku, if they're able to get him going this year, we've been waiting for it for years. The dude's an athletic freak, but they never get him going. So we never get to experience the true fantasy value of him. So maybe this will be the year that he gets unlocked. We'll see. He's worth taking a flyer in best ball. I don't know where he's going right now. We'll find out when we do the Superflex draft later. But yeah, I would imagine that he's still going relatively late. I would guess he's probably going in the ninth round, I'd say. But you never know. Other than that, though, yeah, I think the Bengals, Ravens, Browns is how I'd go in there. With the Steelers, Mitchell Trubisky, there's been a lot of buzz around him in the best ball streets. People have been drafting him pretty late throughout the preseason. Not sure how he's going to do. He had a few flashes with the Bears, but overall he wasn't really impressive. He went to the Bills last season and he was a backup. He didn't do anything, but everybody got excited over him like this offseason, and we have no idea like what he's going to do. He is with a better coaching staff than he was with the Bears right now, so maybe Tomlin will be able to get something out of him. But Tomlin's got his eyes on Malik, like to draft Malik Williams, right, or Wilson. So we don't know what the situation's going to be with Trubisky longer term. Maybe they draft. I don't know if Malik is gonna fall to them late in the draft. There's talk that the Lions might pick him up with the second pick right now, so he might be top 10. He might not even make it to the Steelers, but we know that Tomlin really likes him. So maybe they do a trade. Who knows what's going to happen when draft day comes? But yeah, the Steelers. Other than that, I don't think they really did too much. They seem to be in more of a transition year, and they added a little bit to the offensive line, but other than that, nothing much of note other than losing Juju Smith-Schuster and obviously Ben retiring. So if we move on to the AFC East next, continuing on that Bills talk, they had a lot of smart signings, but mainly not the skill positions. I think as far as the skill positions, they got O.J. Howard, Duke Johnson, and Jameson Crowder. I really like that addition because Cole Beasley, they dropped Cole Beasley, and now they got Jameson Crowder. Jameson Crowder, a couple years ago in particular, he showed a lot of flashes of still being a stud receiver, or not stud receiver, but a stud slot receiver potentially. Last year, he showed some flashes. I think he was hurt for a decent portion of the year. They also picked up Roger Saffold, who was dropped by the Titans, and they added on the defense, they added Von Miller. So the Crowder signing took a little bit of the steam out of Isaiah McKenzie's re-signing, but who knows what's going to play out there. I tend to lean towards drafting Crowder more if we can get him later in those best ball drafts. But what are you thinking on these Bill additions, Snyder?
Yeah, I think Von Miller is really going to help reassure that defense. They got a good defense there last year. Von Miller's only going to help that even better. O.J. Howard's solid talent there for the Bills there with Josh Allen there. I think Jameson Crowder is a perfect fit for this offense too. I mean, I think he's still got enough left in the gas tank. I realize he's getting older, but I think he's got enough left in the gas tank for another year or two. I think that's really going to help out the over the middle game that Josh Allen likes to play to. It's going to open up the outsides too. So I definitely like Jameson Crowder there, Isaiah McKenzie. It's good to see him re-sign there. I think he's a lot better than people give him credit for. I played him quite a bit there in the playoffs and DFS. I mean, he really had some good games for us down the stretch. So I like McKenzie there. I think the Bills are just set up for. I mean, the Dolphins made all that noise. I think they're going to try and make a push here, but I still like the Bills to win this division. And I think, Jameson Crowder is a very good fit there. I think I'm going to be playing him quite often in like DFS, and I'll try and get quite a few shares of him in best ball as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. The next team we got is the Dolphins. Obviously, we talked about the Tyreek trade earlier. Tua, this is the year that we're going to find out if Tua is going to live up to all the hype that he got before he got drafted. He got hurt, obviously, his last year in college, and you could use that as a reasoning behind why he's been slow his first couple seasons with the Dolphins. They didn't exactly have great weapons, but when he finally got Jalen Waddle last season, he did really well with Jalen Waddle did really well with Tua, and now they add Tyreek to his arsenal. So we'll see if Tua is able to become, take it up a step at quarterback. He hasn't been anything too spectacular in the NFL, but he has shown an ability to win games and to show flashes as a quarterback. But you're more of a not a Tua truther, but you believe in Tua, Snyder. What are your thoughts on this additions?
For the Dolphins, I think Tua's gonna be better. I think I've always kind of thought he was not a great quarterback, but I think he's good enough in the NFL, and they're gonna surround him with a lot of talent here. I mean, I think the Edmonds and Mostert are really good Edmonds is good out of the backfield. Mostert's really good run. I think he's such an underrated running back, especially early in the year before he gets hurt. He always seems to get hurt about mid-season. But, those first 5, 6, 7 games, he's always busting out some long runs, super fast through the hole. I think that's really going to help out Tua to kind of take the defense off of him, having those two backs there. And then Tyreek's going to definitely clear out the offense there as much as he can. He caught a lot more shorter passes last year as defenses kind of started playing like some higher safeties on Kansas City to try to take away the deep ball. So that'll be interesting to see Tyreek and Jalen Waddle in this same offense. They're both speedsters. They could create tons of mismatches and problems for DCs around. So I'll be interested to see how this Dolphins offense looks. They still got the tight end there. The offensive line should be better next year. So I think this Miami Dolphins offense could look pretty interesting tomorrow. I'm pretty bullish on this team going forward, like from a DFS and fantasy standpoint.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I like them. I think the additions, like you mentioned, of Chase Edmonds and Mostert, I had a feeling that Gaskin wasn't going to cut it in this offense. And, I think we can finally put the final nail in his coffin. And we'll see what happens with these running backs. And the thing I like about them picking up Tyreek and having Waddle for Tua is Mike McDaniel specializes in getting guys into space. Like, that was his whole offensive scheme over in San Francisco. He was the offensive coordinator over there, and before that he was in charge of the running game. So he's a big part of all the pre-snap motion and stuff that they do to enable guys to get out in space and kind of get a lot of yards after the catch. So we'll see how Tyreek does there. Tyreek is known for getting yards after the catch, so he's a perfect fit for that offense. But the thing we were talking about earlier, I drafted Tyreek a ton in the first round last year in best ball, and I can tell you from a best ball standpoint, he did not pay off. So I don't think he had huge advance rates, but I know I didn't have many huge advance rates with all the Tyreek shares that I had. So it'll be interesting to see what he does here. I'm interested in seeing where he's going as far as ADP right now. We'll find that out shortly, but it'll be a good team. It'll be a good team next year. I think that they have a lot of potential. And they added Bridgewater as a backup quarterback, just a note there. Cedric Wilson they also picked up from the Cowboys, so he'll be interesting. The other piece of this offense, before we move on to the next team, that I just wanted to mention is Lynn Bowden. And Lynn Bowden, a couple years ago, Tua got to play several games with him towards the end of the season, and Bowden was getting a shit ton of targets. And he really looked like he was Tua's favorite target, him and Gesicki. I think Gesicki was getting a lot of targets too, in addition to Bowden. And so it'll be interesting. Like, Bowden missed last season. I was drafting him heavily before the season started in best ball, and then he got taken out with an injury. He had some sort of a hamstring injury that he had to get put on the injured reserve, and he ended up missing the entire season. So I don't know what's happening with Bowden right now, but he's a guy that you're going to want to keep an eye out for, because he's a perfect type of gimmick type of player that would fit in a McDaniel offense, I believe. He was a former college quarterback. He had, he's a type of receiver that could act kind of as a running back in addition to a wide receiver. He's got a lot of versatility, so it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with him if he ends up sticking around with the team. So let's move on to the Jets from there. The Jets, they got an A for effort as far as trying to chase guys in the offseason. They tried to make plays on several big names, including Tyreek at the end there. The Dolphins ended up winning out on Tyreek, obviously. But ultimately, they didn't really do too much to make noise in this offseason. They re-signed Braxton Berrios at least. They added C.J. Uzomah and Tyler Conklin. Wasn't sure why they added Tyler Conklin after getting Uzomah. So that didn't make a ton of sense to me, but at least they have depth at tight end now. That was a big problem for them in the past. They lost Jameson Crowder, so not sure what to make of the Jets next season. I was thinking that Zach Wilson could potentially take a step forward, so we'll see how that goes. But Snyder, what are your thoughts on the Jets here?
I think the Jets are... I have a hard time seeing the Jets having any. I think the Jets are like a team that can win like 4 or 5 games next year. I don't really see much going up for them. They have a couple good playmakers on the receiving core there, some young guys, but I don't see them doing much here. I think I'm going to be looking to avoid the Jets pretty much like I usually do. So I think they can win 4 or 5 games, but I don't think there's going to be much fantasy goodness there for them this year.
Yeah, I might take flyers on Berrios. I drafted him in the draft that we did on our last show, and I might take some shots on Zach Wilson. Still not sure what to make of it there. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the draft for those guys. They have Elijah Moore there still, so they got some weapons there. It's just a matter of if he can have a second year breakout. He was showing a lot of flashes as a rookie, so I think he's going to have a decent second year. Patriots, the other team in this division, dropped the ball in free agency. Their cheapness is just hitting them. They've refused to pay anybody. They lost J.C. Jackson. They lost Devin McCourty, Chase Winovich. They just can't hold on to their star players, and they're not picking up guys to make up for it. So I'm not really a fan of Mac Jones personally. I think he's more of a game manager. I wouldn't be drafting him in best ball, and he doesn't really have anyone to throw to that I can think of other than Hunter Henry. So I don't know. What do you make of the Patriots here?
Yeah, that's another team that I look to just fully avoid in like fantasy focus wise, like best ball, DFS wise. So probably the Patriots are going to fall into that same nest as the Jets. I mean, I think the Patriots, they got Belichick and stuff. They might win 8 or 9 games. I'm just looking to avoid them probably pretty much at all costs, like I am with the Jets, and just focus on some of these other teams with some more fantasy goodness.
Yeah, I'm with you there. If anything, I'll draft Hunter Henry, but he's the only guy that I have interest on the Patriots. So moving on to the AFC South, we talked a little bit about the Titans. They lost Saffold, as we mentioned. They also lost Deontay Foreman, who I was a little disappointed that they lost him. I guess he wouldn't have really had a role there anyways with Henry being back and supposedly healthy. But Deontay Foreman, he moves on to the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey, he's had injuries the past couple years, so I'm not sure what to make of Deontay Foreman landing there. I wasn't too thrilled about it, but they didn't really pick up too much with the Titans. Actually, I take that back. They got Robert Woods and they got Austin Hooper, who are both decent. They fill a need with both those players. What are your thoughts on those additions and your thoughts on drafting the Titans in general?
I think I could go to, just depends kind of like where they fall to in ADP. I mean, Austin Hooper's could be a good addition there. It depends on where he goes. AJ Brown's going to be solid there. It depends on like where Henry's going. We finally saw him break down last year. I mean, he's starting to get a few miles on him, so it's kind of, I mean, it's always going to be a scary scene. You have to assume the risk when drafting Henry now. He's got all those carries and all that yardage on his body now. I mean, this just isn't a team I don't think I will be looking to overly attack either. Maybe some A.J. Brown. I mean, he's got that game-breaking upside. And maybe some Austin Hooper, like, really late, or depending on where Henry goes. If Henry falls to, like, the second round somehow or something, maybe take some shares of him there. But I think mainly just A.J. Brown for me with this Titan squad.
Yeah, I'm with you. Robert Woods coming off an ACL tear. He's kind of an older player, yeah. So they dropped Julio Jones, which is good. I think Robert Woods at this stage in his career versus Julio Jones might actually be an upgrade on Julio Jones, what he was last year. So that'll be good for A.J. Brown as far as allowing him to get open a little bit more with the defense, having two receivers to contend with. But yeah, Hooper, maybe some interest there, but other than that, not going to be too excited about the Titans this year. The Colts, moving on to them, they picked up Matt Ryan. They dropped Dusty Carson Wentz, the MVP. They also lost Jack Doyle, so not a whole lot of movement on the Colts. They're probably going to want to address the wide receiver position, another team that wants to address the wide receiver position. The Colts, man, they just keep going from dusty quarterback to dusty quarterback. They built a solid team. They built a solid offensive line. The defense is good. They got a couple weapons, not a whole lot of weapons. And then they got Jonathan Taylor, but they keep putting this team together with these old, stale quarterbacks. So, I just see another, just kind of, they'll potentially win the division. Maybe they'll make the playoffs, but I don't know how far they're going to go. I think Ryan is definitely an upgrade over Wentz, and hopefully it unlocks Pittman a little bit more. Pittman had a good breakout season last season, so hopefully he can add to that. But Pittman's a guy I'll be interested in, and obviously Jonathan Taylor if I can get him. But what are your thoughts here on the Colts?
Yeah, I definitely like Michael Pittman again this year. I think Ryan's going to be a little bit of an upgrade to Wentz. I could see maybe playing Ryan in some like cash games and such on like DraftKings and such, but maybe take some shares of him late in some best balls if I'm going to stack Ryan with Pittman. Definitely like Pittman, his upside. I've been on Pittman since he came out of college, so definitely going to keep riding him. He had some injury history, but I think he's better now. Hopefully he can stay healthy going forward. He's got that huge upside, I think, especially playing on the fast track there. That's pretty much it for me, though, on the Colts. Maybe some Ryan if I get some Pittman, too, if I can get a good value on him late in the drafts.
Yeah, if we can get an idea on what Ashton Doolin's going to be having for a role in that offense, I might try drafting him in the 19th, 20th round, depending on how much usage we think that he's going to get. Last year, he was a special teams guy that played receiver on several games, and he had some huge plays. He scored at least a 160-yard touchdown, but he was getting targeted on some deep plays, and he was getting targeted pretty frequently for his role. So it'll be interesting with T.Y. Hilton. I don't know if T.Y. Hilton is going to play next year, so Ashton Doolin could fill a interesting role in that offense. So keep an eye on him in the 19th and 20th rounds. Next, we're going to take a look at Houston. We don't even need to look at Houston, man. They pretty much are in rebuild mode. They're just dumping like their ass. They just dumped Deshaun Watson, obviously, picked up a bunch of first-round picks for him. Davis Mills should be getting another opportunity to prove himself this year. Hopefully they'll draft him some weapons. We'll see what happens there. Other than that, Cooks, I don't even know if Cooks is going to be on the team. They'll probably trade him while they're at it. So they're probably like just going to be in best ball hell this season.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get Davis Mills super late as a flyer and try stacking him with whoever they end up with receiver. But other than that, I'm avoiding.
Yeah, for sure. I can't see myself drafting any of these Houston guys. Definitely a full-on pass for me with the Houston Texans as normal. I wasn't on any of them last year. They're just kind of like the Jets for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Jaguars did some big spending in free agency. They paid a lot of money for a lot of mediocre players. They added Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. They lost Miles Jack and DJ Shark. As far as the offense, they spent a ton of money on nothing, basically, but at least they gave some weapons for Herbert, so we'll see how he's able to do with actually having a few more receivers on the team. But overall, I'm not nearly as excited as I was going into free agency on what might happen. I like Doug Peterson as the head coach there and his quarterback background, but they kept Trent Baalke, and Trent Baalke did Trent Baalke things, and he completely underwhelmed in free agency. They'll probably screw up the draft as well, so we'll see what happens there. But it's tough to pull the trigger, but maybe Christian Kirk, depending on how late he's going, along with Justin Herbert. Laviska Shenault looks like he might be traded. The Chiefs have interest in him, last I heard. So we'll see what the Jags do with him there, but yeah, I mean, he's been a disappointment. He underwhelmed last season, and hopefully a change of scenery would be good for him if he ends up on the Chiefs or somewhere like that. They'd be able to probably use him a lot better. But what are your thoughts on the Jags?
Yeah, I mean, they got some decent options. I think Christian Kirk is a good talent. Zay Jones is a speedster. I mean, they got Evan Ingram, but Evan Ingram was in some really good spots last year and did absolutely zero with them. So I think he's just kind of a name with a good agent to get that deal. So I'm not going to draft any Evan Ingram. I'll have some like Christian Kirk, maybe some Zay Jones and some, if I get some Lawrence doubles or something go. I mean, this offense, it's got potential upside, but I don't know if they're going to be very high on my radar drafting wise. Like if I'm taking any of these receivers, it's going to be in like stacks and such. But I don't think I'll be looking to take any one-offs of these guys though. Yeah,
I would be interested in Travis Etienne, who I think he's going to be probably going in the 3rd or 4th round. He missed last season. He got hurt in the preseason. It took him out for the entire season. So he'll be back this coming season. We'll be able to see him a little bit in the preseason and see him getting work and how he's progressing and stuff. But Etienne is definitely someone I'm interested in drafting as far as hopefully a 3rd or 4th round running back. Hopefully he can be a little bit sneaky, but I doubt he'll have any sneakiness. But we'll still be able to get like decent value on him at least. Moving on to the NFC, we can check out the NFC West here. Looking at the Seahawks, they chose Dusty Pete Carroll over Russ Wilson for some reason, and okay, we'll see if Pete Carroll's philosophy works this season with Drew Lock as the quarterback and like all their play. I mean, Noah Fant at this point added to Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. That's their offense right now. Hopefully Rashad Penny gets the starting gig here. Rashad Penny, I think is going pretty late, so he's another running back to keep an eye on. And if they're using that running game strategy in Seattle, Penny's going to have some decent value and potential league winner if he's going in the 8th, 9th round like he was last time I checked. So overall, the team is going to be, pretty hit or miss probably throughout the season. Depends on how Drew Lock does. But what are your thoughts here on the Seahawks? Maybe they trade for Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield, I don't know how much of an upgrade he'd be over Drew Lock. What are your thoughts here?
I really don't have much thoughts on this Seahawks team. I think they're going to be tanking here pretty hard. Drew Lock, he's going to be throwing pick sixes. Noah Fant maybe could take some shares of him if I can get him like late in the draft or something. But I really don't have any. DK Metcalf's a name, but I just don't think I'm going to have much interest in any of these Seahawks next year.
Yeah. It's kind of hit or miss. I got to see how they do in the preseason. I might have interest in Penny mainly, but other than that, I think I'm out on Metcalf. He's probably getting drafted too early. Lockett, probably the same thing, but maybe Fant just because of the relationship he already has with Drew Lock. But yeah, for the most part, probably just Rashad Penny for me. As far as the Cardinals, moving on there, they had a pretty mass exodus of some decent players. They re-signed Zach Ertz and James Conner. They lost Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds, and Chandler Jones. They added nobody significant. Kyler Murray, man, he's just kind of self-imploding here. So I don't know how things are going to work out for the Cardinals this year. Hopefully they can fill some holes in the draft. But Murray looked awful against the Rams in that playoff game. He'll have his DeAndre Hopkins back. But that's about it. That's about it for weapons there. Ertz, Hopkins, and Connor, basically. Like I can't even think of anyone else that he would be able to throw to at this point. So maybe they address some of that weakness in free agency. There's still Jarvis Landry's still available. They still got a couple name receivers. Nothing major though. Maybe someone will come up as a trade, surprisingly, but they still got Kyler Murray's huge contract coming up, so they're going to have to work on extending him and probably take a huge hit on the salary cap. I know that Hopkins restructured his contract, so they probably cleared up some space there to make a move on potential receivers if they pop up. But otherwise, it's not looking good for the Cardinals, man.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation here. You got Kyler Murray. He's got all that stuff going on in social media. He's like, I don't know what the heck's going on there. He's maybe having a little mental breakdown or something. He looked, he definitely got exposed a few times last year. There's some people calling him out and such, but I think Kyler Murray's a legit top 10 quarterback. I mean, he may have top 5 upside at times. Depends on which Kyler you get. If he's looking to run the ball or not, or if he's forcing some throws. They did lose Christian Kirk, Chase Edmonds, a couple of their key guys. So they still got a Hopkins. I'm going to have some interest in some Cardinals. It'll be interesting to see if they make any more moves going forward. They got Ertz there. I mean, Connor's, if Connor can stay healthy, that'll be solid. I could see myself taking some of these Cardinals. I could have some Christian Kirk, and maybe depending on where Hopkins goes. If Hopkins drops like the second, maybe even the third round, I'm definitely going to be all over that. So I'm optimistic on this Cardinals team going forward. It's just got to see how this Kyler Murray situation plays out. I mean, there's been some interesting things going on Twitter, so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how they are able to cooperate in the preseason. But the Cardinals are in kind of shambles right now. The Rams primed to potentially win the division again. They just picked up Allen Robinson. They lost Robert Woods, Von Miller, OBJ still to be determined. Maybe he ends up on the Cardinals. Who knows? I think the Rams are trying to sign him, though. Maybe he ends up back on the Browns. Maybe he decides he wants to play with Watson. I don't know if the Browns would take him back at this point, but OBJ is still kind of up in the air what's going to happen with him. Andrew Whitworth retired. But, the main addition here is Allen Robinson. The Rams continue their strategy of picking up, kind of the forgotten guys that are pretty mid to late in their careers but have come off of down years or have been in bad situations, and Allen Robinson fits that criteria pretty well. What are your thoughts here on the Rams, Snyder?
Yeah, the Rams, interesting deal here. Allen Robinson going to there, that's definitely intriguing. I think he's got really good talent upside. He's just been kind of trapped in some really bad situations. But I think I interesting to see how this works out. I have I was pretty high on Allen Robinson last year and the year before, and it didn't really come to fruition. I was getting him in pretty late in some drafts. So hopefully I can get him late in some more drafts this year. I'll go back to the well one more time here. They're coming off that big season. Stafford got that big deal. Be interesting to see how he plays after that, if he can ride the momentum or if he kind of flatlines. I'm definitely going to have some interest in some of these 49 or these Rams. So I was looking at the next game, but yeah. I'm very intrigued with this Allen Robinson signing. I hope it works out for him. He deserves a lot for what he's had to go through early in his career. So hopefully he can get one big season here. That's the biggest name I'm looking at with these Rams guys. So yeah, pretty much going to be centered around him, I think, for me, DFS-wise and best ball-wise.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp is going super early in these drafts, man. He's going in like top 5 picks. So I think there's been an overcorrection as far as wide receivers versus running backs in that first round. So, I've always been kind of a zero RB type of drafter, but I think this year I'm probably picking up running backs in the first couple rounds with the value that's falling there. But yeah, as far as Robinson, he finally gets a good quarterback, so I'm gonna take a gamble on him. 49ers, man, they didn't do anything this offseason. They lost Mostert and Sherfield, not big losses really, but they picked up Ray McLeod. Ray McLeod was a good player in Pittsburgh. He had some good games there. He was getting targeted a lot by Dusty Roethlisberger, so we'll see what happens with his role in this offense. I think he seems like a Shanahan pickup, but they got Trey Lance as the starting quarterback now. Not sure what's going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo yet. He's still on the team. He's had shoulder surgery, so teams seem to be avoiding him right now. I think the Colts maybe had interest in him, but they kind of turned it down when they found out that he was going to miss a good portion of this a good portion of the offseason. So, yeah, it's kind of up in the air what's up with Jimmy G. But what are your thoughts on the Niners in general?
I don't think I'm going to have much interest in the 49ers going forward. I was expecting them to maybe make some more splashes in free agency. Didn't really work out for them. So, they got some good pieces there on the offensive side. It'll be interesting to see how what's his name, the rookie quarterback does next year, Trey Lance. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. I think the loss of Mostert is going to be a pretty. He wasn't that effective there, but I think that's going to be a pretty big loss for him. If he could stay healthy, he was a big factor there. He loved him. It'll be interesting to see what they do with what's that running back they got that they basically just benched all year last year. If he's going to make a splash this year.
That Ohio State running back. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
He hated him for some reason last year. But yeah, I mean, Samuel's obviously going to be on my radar for basically everything fantasy-wise, best ball, DFS. If you're looking to take some stances on him, I think he's going to go a little – his price is definitely going to be higher this year than it was last year, so I'll have to weigh that when I'm drafting. But, yeah, I think I'll have some interesting shares. I'll have some Trey Lance just to see how that goes. Would like to be in on him first or early if possible.
Yeah, I like Lance too. He seems like he's going a little too early. People are jumping the gun on him a little bit. If he was going in the 8th or 9th round, which he may be by the time we get to regular best ball drafts again. Right now we're in super draft, obviously, so he's going to be going a lot higher there. But he was going a lot higher in the prior drafting too for the big board. So yeah, I think people are going to be a little too excited to draft him. So he might shoot up a little more than I would hope for as far as ADP. But yeah, we'll see how things play out. And Trey Sermon was that running back you were thinking of there, Snyder.
Oh yeah.
A complete bust, and how quickly things change in the NFL. Like nobody was talking about really Elijah Mitchell last season, and everybody was drafting Trey Sermon before the 10th round. So it just completely pulled the rug out from under us with Trey Sermon last season. But move on to the NFC North, looking at the Packers. Big hit with the loss of Adams. Re-signed Rodgers, though, losing MVS to the Chiefs today. I think he got signed by the Chiefs today. So they're losing weapons. They're not really adding anyone yet. So I don't think there's much to talk about there other than Rodgers' value, kind of plummets with the loss of these weapons. You'll have Alan Lazard there. That's probably about all he has to throw to. And I think all these wide receiver losses is a big boost for Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. So we'll see what happens there. You have any quick thoughts on the Packers there, Snyder?
Loss of Allen Adams. They just lost MVS as well. I don't think – they got 2 running backs on that team that are going to steal carries from each other. I don't think I'm going to have much interest at all in the Packers this year going forward.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. The Vikings, nothing much there. They re-signed Adam Thielen. They got a good GM now. We'll see what he does. He seems pretty smart, analytical-minded. He decided to keep Cousins. They just they're paying him a lot of money this year. They lost Xavier Woods. That's about it. So should be pretty much the same team as last year. I'll probably be drafting Thielen, depending on how late he falls. He's getting older, so he might be going pretty late this season. And obviously Justin Jefferson. But Justin Jefferson's the same situation as Cooper Kupp. He's going in like the top 5. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. I got to see how things start playing out and how it works if you're going with the 2 running backs at the top, what kind of receivers you can get. But I'm not overly excited about paying up for these wide receivers in the top 5 picks personally. Any thoughts on Jefferson?
I'm going to have quite a bit of conviction on Justin Jefferson again next year. I've been on him the last 2 years. he's a stud there. He's an alpha. He's debatably maybe the top 1 receiver next year. You can make some cases for that.
Yep.
He's right in that category with like Jamar Chase and a few of those other guys that are up there, Cooper Kupp and all those guys. He's top 5 receiver. He could be a number 1 receiver depending on your take and where your allegiance falls. So I think I'm going to have him. I think I'm going to look to avoid Dalvin Cook next year. I think he's getting old. I'm going to look to get off of him before maybe another injury sits back. It's been a couple years of injuries for him, so I'm going to be mainly avoiding him and
heavy on
mainly just on I like some Madison. You can get him hopefully as a value again like we did last year. He paid off for a few games for us last year. We were on him. So Jefferson and Madison mainly for the Vikings.
Yeah. Bears, similar situation there, except they're in a rebuild mode, so they're losing a bunch of players. They lost Robinson, they lost Jakeem Grant, they lost Khalil Mack, and they lost Tariq Cohen. So they're like Justin Fields. I don't know what he's gonna throw to, like, other than Darnell Mooney. Mooney's gonna be probably like have a big year this year. I would be interested in him, especially if he's going later. But I think he's going in like the second or third round. So at least he was, I think, in the big board. So we'll see where he's playing out there. But otherwise, Justin Fields didn't look too impressive last year. He got pretty much a whole season under his belt. He showed a couple flashes, so I will have interest there depending on how late he goes, but it's all going to depend on if I can get him past the 8th round or so. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have much conviction on either of these next two teams in this division. I mean, you could make a case for maybe going with some what's his name, that quarterback there, the rookie quarterback. Can't think of his name right now. Who's the Bears quarterback? The rookie quarterback? Justin Fields. Yeah. I mean, I can make some cases for him. I mean, he's an upside guy. He showed that great rushing upside last year at times. I think he's going to be a guy that I don't think he's like in that like Lamar Jackson case or a field where he can kind of stay healthy. I think he's a guy we saw in college. He got injured in college quite a few times. I think he's a guy that's going to battle some injuries with his style of play that he goes with. He's kind of reckless running. He doesn't have quite the quickness that like a Lamar Jackson does to get away from trouble. So I think I'm going to be off of the Bears pretty much, and I think I'm going to be off of the Lions too. I know they added like DJ Shark, but I mean, I'm just gonna. The Lions are in that Jets bucket as well, so I'm gonna be looking to avoid both these teams, I think, in this division.
Yeah, the Lions, they could be sneaky this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm interested in him, depending on how early he's going. If he's going too early, I'll pass on him, though. Lions had trouble getting over 20 points in their games last season. They had a couple games where they had big offensive outputs, but other than that, yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Be interesting to see how they progress in the offseason, see who they draft. But yeah, right now I'm kind of putting them in the no interest bucket. NFC East, we're looking at the Eagles. Nothing significant there. They added Zach Pascal. Not really interested in anyone there. Hurts, if he's going, I think he's going late again, like in the 8th, 9th round. So maybe some interest there. Devontae Smith, hopefully in his second year he can do something interesting. And then they got Goddard, so maybe a little bit of interest there, but nothing spectacular. None of Hurts's weapons performed last year. Commanders, they added Carson Wentz, which is an upgrade for Terry McLaurin, so maybe have a little bit of interest in Terry McLaurin there. They barely got J.D. McKissick back. They almost lost him to the Bills, but then they finally made an offer that J.D. McKissick came back to. And they lost Ricky Seals-Jones, so not a whole lot of interest there either. And as far as the Cowboys, they're feeling the effects of that monster Zeke contract because they're losing good players. They lost Mari Cooper, obviously. They lost him to the Browns, and they lost Cedric Wilson to the Dolphins, and Blake Jarwin they had to drop, and they ended up franchise tagging Dalton Schultz. So they got Gallup coming back. I like Gallup with a bigger role in this offense, but he tore his ACL pretty late in the season, so I'm not sure when he'll be back this coming season. But they also added James Washington, who could be interesting, because I'm guessing he'll have a pretty decent role in the beginning of the season. But any thoughts by you, Snyder, on the rest of these NFC East teams?
I could maybe see myself. I'm not going to go to Eagles, actually. I was trying to make a case for them, but no, I'm not going to go to them. Carson Wentz with the Commanders. I think Wentz sucks. Be interesting to see what Big T does. He was talking about maybe trying to put a MVP bet on Carson Wentz just for the content. If he knew he could hit the cash out button right away, right. But yeah. Yeah. But I don't have much conviction on them as a whole. The Cowboys, Yeah, I mean that I've been saying for a while the Cowboys should have dumped Zeke somewhere before. I mean now they're just stuck with him. I don't think any team wants him anymore. I think Michael Gallup's a great re-sign for them. I think he's got the talent there. I like CeeDee Lamb, so I'll still be playing some of this Cowboys passing offense and maybe getting some. Do they still got the backup running back there, Pollard? I'll be looking to take some shares of him later in the draft so if I can get some good value on him. So I'll be on some Pollards. I like the Dak, Gallup, CeeDee Lamb doubles. I think that's really going to help. Getting rid of Amari Cooper is really going to help open things up for Gallup and Lamb they can just unleash them now, I think, and not have to focus on sharing the ball to three guys. They can just kind of focus on those two. The Giants, no, I don't want anything to do with the Giants. I'm going to put them in the same bucket with all the other shitty teams. I'm not going to be on any of those guys, but I mean, I tried to talk myself into it, but no, I don't think I can.
I'm taking the opposite stance on the Giants here. I'm going to be taking a lot of Tony, probably Barkley. Barkley's pretty good value right now. Perhaps Daniel Jones. I'm not really sure how much interest I have there, but Ricky Seals-Jones is their main tight end this year. So we got some interest. I got some interest there. They lost Evan Ingram and Kyle Rudolph. So yeah, Ricky Seals-Jones might be the go-to tight end there. But yeah, Tony's my main interest. I'm mainly interested in him, but Kenny Galladay, I might take some stabs at him depending on where he's going in the draft, because I do think that Daniel Jones has the potential to improve under Brian Daboll, and these weapons could benefit from that. So we'll see what happens there. But they do have weapons. They just they've just been in just shitty coaching the last few years. So it's just an opportunity for them to show what they got. So we'll see what happens with the Giants this year. But that's really the only team that I'm interested in this division, other than some of the Cowboys. With the NFC South, the Saints have done nothing noteworthy. It looks like Winston's going to be the starting quarterback for them, and they restructured Michael Thomas's contract, so he looks like he's going to be back. The Bucs, well, we saved the Bucs for last because they're the only ones who really did anything. Matt Ryan on the Falcons, obviously traded to the Colts, and the Falcons picked up Marcus Mariota. Mariota could be, well, I take that back. He's not going to be interesting. Kyle Pitts, the only weapon that they got, really. They signed CPAT. Again, they re-signed him. They lost Russell Gage to the Bucs, so Ridley was suspended a year for gambling. So the Falcons are in disarray, man. They only got Pitts, and so the defense is just going to be focused on Pitts. So yes, fade on the Falcons for me. As far as the Panthers, they didn't really do anything in free agency either. They were in the Watson sweepstakes, and I think they made a play on a few other players throughout the offseason that no one seemed to want to play on the Panthers. They could end up with Jimmy G or Baker Mayfield at quarterback, but they added Deontay Foreman. They re-signed DJ Moore to I don't know if it was a contract extension or a new contract. But yeah, nothing really interesting in this division other than the Bucs, who added Russell Gage, Tom Brady unretired, and that started the floodgates for re-signing Godwin, Fournette, Jensen, Carlton, and Gronk is to be determined. They lost O.J. Howard, but the Bucs are looking like they're going to have a breeze in this division again. All the other teams are in rebuild mode or just complete dust. So what are your thoughts on the Bucs here? Are you going to be drafting a lot of them?
I could see myself getting a few of these guys. It was interesting to see what that Brady deal looked like. It looked like he was kind of trying to stronghold himself, maybe trying to get to San Francisco or something. And I thought that just didn't happen. So he's like, all right, screw it. I'm going to come back and play for Tampa Bay one more year. He's got a couple of options there. I mean, Godwin's back. They re-signed him. Added Russell Gage. I think Russell Gage is an under the radar guy that's better than perceived. So I like that signing, especially for Tom Brady and like the routes and how Gage plays. I think that's going to set up pretty well for Brady. So I like the Brady doubles with Gage and Godwin. I could get on some Fournette depending on where he goes in drafts. I could see myself maybe going to him. It'll be interesting to see if Gronk comes back. Depending on where he goes, I could see myself drafting some Gronk. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with I'm going to avoid the Falcons for sure. I don't want anything to do with the Falcons. I don't think I want anything to do with the Panthers. It just depends on where McCaffrey and some of those guys are going, where DJ Moore falls. Possibly could have some DJ Moore. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of stuck there with Darnold. I don't like Darnold at quarterback. I don't like Baker Mayfield either. I mean, Jimmy G could be solid there if he ends up going there. But the Saints are going to be interesting with Winston. I think Winston's a great fantasy quarterback if he can get the start, and if he's going to chuck the ball. So if Michael Thomas is still there and Winston, I mean, that's definitely an option I'll be looking to get some shares of if I can get a good value on them for sure. But I think, I'm going to have some interest in the Bucs and Saints. So probably looking to fade the Falcons and the Panthers for the most part, though.
Yeah, makes sense to me too. I think I'm kind of with you on all those thoughts on this division. The Bucs, obviously, going to have my main interest there, but I'm really not seeing too much else in the division that would interest me. So Snyder, we've kind of covered everything here. Do you want us to move on to the Superflex draft here? You want to try and do a Superflex draft?
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool. Let me just set up this shot here. Yeah, just a reminder for everybody watching at home too. We do have a deal going with Underdog, where you can get a $100 match on your first deposit by using the promo code RunPure, and that'll get you $100 on your first match. And these Superflex drafts are $10 an entry. After the draft. After the NFL draft, I think that they'll probably start introducing the contests, the smaller $5 contest and the main Best Ball Mania contest. I would guess shortly after the draft. So I would recommend getting your deposit in now, getting that bonus right now, so you have that money ready to go for when they do it, because you never know when they're going to take these bonuses away. So take advantage of it while it exists. The promo code is RunPure. We got it up on the top of the screen here. You can see, and just make your deposit, use that promo code, and get $100 free to do these drafts. These drafts are addictive too, so you're not going to want to do just one. So $100 will help for sure. Let's see. So Snyder, are you ready for?
I've got the big board pulled up on my phone. Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second here. I just got to finish one framing adjustment, and then we can jump right in. Yeah, I haven't tried the Superflex drafts yet, so this will be an interesting experiment. I never really been into these alternative drafts. I'm more kind of like into straight best ball. I actually like the playoff drafts. I take that back. The playoff drafts were definitely my favorite format by far, and I do like the rookies and sophomores a bit, but my favorite by far is definitely the Best Ball Mania style drafting, which is the standard best ball style. So there's 20 rounds now in Underdog's Best Ball this season. So just keep that in mind. Last year it was 18, and I think previous seasons been 18. DraftKings had a 20-round format last season, so maybe that's what Underdog is going for this year. So stand by. Let me just record this over here. All right. So When you're ready, Snyder, we can do the count of 3 and jump in, and hopefully we both end up in the same draft this time.
Right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, enter. All right, 9 more to start. So we got a few left to go. Snyder,
yeah, mine says 8 more now.
8 more? Okay. Yours says 8 more, mine says 9 more.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're probably in the same one.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says 4 filled.
4 filled?
Me plus 3 others.
Gotcha. Let me try jumping out and jumping back in, see what that does. Yeah, mine says, we're in the same one.
Nice.
So, Snyder, why don't you talk about our premium product a little here, why we have a bit of a wait for this draft to fill up?
Yeah, we've got college basketball going on. There's 2 games already finished in the first night. 2 more go tonight. Tomorrow we're going to have another 4-game slate for college basketball if you're watching this before Friday, March 25th. And then we're going to have more college basketball going on for the weekend, and then the Final Four next week. So that's rounding in the form there. We've got golf coming on full strength. We've got the Masters coming up here in just under 2 weeks. So that's going to be a huge week for us. We're going to have plenty of content. We're going to have plenty of shows for that. They've got 3 million makers for that. So we're going to have the best content. We've got the best PGA team, bar to none, of any website out there. So we're going to be really pumping out the PGA content nonstop there. We've got UFC going. I mean, Title and Hoop just shipped MMA last week. So, I mean, that's going full circle. We've got tennis. We've got NBA still going full circle. I mean, we've just been crushing. JSU hit big in NBA here a couple nights ago. So it's just always somebody printing in NBA, it seems like. We've got the best NBA team around, headed by JSU, Big T, Hoop, AEP, Titletown, some of the best guys in the industry there. And then we've got some best balls coming around. We're going to be doing some more of this. And then we've got our subscription with SaberSim. I'm not sure if the promo code's still active, Players33. It was for a while. I'm not sure if it's still active when you hit this.
Yeah. Now, but Hoop ended up killing that one, man. He was getting pressured to keep it longer, but we had to kill that one. But we might put something out closer to MLB starting back up. So we'll see what happens
that's close. Hitting up with the spring training starting up with MLB. So super excited for MLB to be back after that long lockout. But the product we have with SaberSim is, I was talking to JSU and a couple other guys at Big T's. I mean, SaberSim is supposed to be the best product for MLB. There's a lot of guys that have used that previously. Some of the biggest names use that, and they crush. It's one of those correlated sports where SaberSim really crushes these correlated sports. So excited to use that going forward. And, yeah, I mean, join the movement. Constantly winning. Everybody's shipping everything. I mean, we've got the best Discord in the land. We've constantly got hundreds of people in there chatting it up in the Discord, which is a huge service there. I mean, all the coordinators are always in the Discord, mixing it up with the members too. And some of these members are some of the sharpest guys I've met as well. So, I mean, all around, this is just a great product to get into with the Discord, the SaberSim, and then everything that Run Pure offers on the website.
Yeah, and you get all those sports for one price. We're not like other sites that'll make you charge you per sport. We're all sports for one price. That goes with SaberSim too when you sign up for the SaberSim deal with us. And one of the things that SaberSim just recently added was MMA onto their optimizers. So I think the guy who developed it did it on the first week that they put it out, and he ended up shipping a $15 tournament. So yeah, I mean he ended up with a big win there just by test running the optimizer. So it's pretty crazy what that optimizer is capable of, and it's definitely one of the top in the industry. So yeah, with like Snyder's saying, baseball is coming right around the corner. We're probably about 2 weeks out of that, so you're definitely going to want to sign up at least ahead of baseball season. And we got DC, man. DC, I was talking to him at Tony's party the other day, and he's getting all excited for baseball. He's been doing a ton of research. That's basically his main focus right now, is just getting prepared for the MLB season. And I know with DC, he usually comes out of the gates pretty hot. He has a huge edge because he's doing all this research, basically. Last year, he was the first guy that I heard even mention the sticky stuff, talking about that on shows and stuff, and it was like, what the hell is DC talking about? But then, lo and behold, you fast forward a couple weeks into the season, it was a huge controversy with this sticky stuff, and DC was calling that out way in advance, and players that could no longer use it were having huge drop-offs in their performance, the pitchers that couldn't use it anymore. So DC was ahead of the game on that. So he's definitely a guy that you want to listen to, especially when it comes to MLB. And he's going to be on our free shows. So you're going to want to make sure that you're subscribing by hitting that bottom right corner of our screen right now, so you can get a subscription to our YouTube channel. And you want to hit the like button while you're at it. Throw in some comments, too. Let us know who you like this season for football, who you think made the biggest moves in free agency, what your favorite new players on new teams are. And, yeah, just starting to get excited about the draft, and we'll see what happens with the draft as well. But I think we're getting pretty close to a point where we'll have a solid idea of where these NFL teams are ending up, obviously, once we get past the draft. So we'll see how that's going to affect ADPs and stuff like that. We got 6 more to start in this contest, so we got a little ways to go as far as filling it. But yeah, I think once we get past the draft, I think last year it was in April or so that they introduced the Best Ball Mania, the first Best Ball Mania contest. So I'm guessing that will probably show up at some point in April. So get ready for it. Start practicing now. Get an idea of where these ADPs are going. I think this season I'm going to draft a little bit slower in the beginning. I think I filled up my 150 max a little too quick last year, and it ended up biting me in the ass because a lot of these injuries were happening during the preseason, a lot of movement and stuff like that, like with teams changing and stuff like that. So it really ended up having a negative impact drafting too early in the season. It's hit or you never know what the ultimate outcome is going to be, like where the ultimate benefit of drafting earlier versus later is going to be. But I think that this year I'm going to be doing most of my drafting towards July, August, maybe a little bit in September too. But I don't want to take too much risk with drafting a ton of teams early this season. I want to save it for when I have a better idea of how players are performing in the preseason, and maybe get a preseason game under our belts as well before I start going too heavy in it. Snyder, do you have a strategy for when you're going to focus the most of your drafting this year?
Yeah, I think I'm going to wait a little bit towards like August. I'm going to start hammering them out probably at the start of August. I think doing it in August still allows you to be early enough on some of these guys, but it allows you to kind of wait until some of this news and training camp and maybe some of those injuries, if any do happen, allows you to have some time before those two. So maybe you can get like half year teams done like by mid-August or something, and then fill in the rest of the years, like mid-August to the early September spot. So hopefully that works out for me well. I think maybe I want to play in more of these rookies and sophomores this year. So hopefully, depending on how that feels, I wouldn't mind, especially after this draft goes through, I think I might even start doing some of those rookies and sophomores as soon as possible after this draft comes, because I think I have a pretty good read on a lot of these rookies coming out of the draft and watching them. I mean, we were in that college DFS pretty hard last year, so I have a pretty good read on a lot of these guys. So, I mean, the rookies and sophomores, I'll look to kind of bang those out pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, and I defer to Snyder when it comes to, these college players and stuff. Snyder always has a good read on who's coming out and who's going to be successful and whatnot as far as the college players coming in. He has a better read than me on the draft for sure. Because I, at this point, not too familiar with many of these names. Like Breece Hall, I'm familiar with Breece Hall. He's the stud running back coming out. Familiar with a few of the receivers. There was a lot of buzz on Treylon Burks coming into this offseason, but he disappointed in the combine. He had a slower speed than a lot of people were suspecting, so he's ended up going and falling pretty far as mock drafts in the main NFL draft. And he's probably, his ADP's probably taken a hit too. I haven't drafted since before the combine, so I'm not too sure of exactly where he's going right now. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. You're gonna see us pretty raw in this draft here because Snyder, I don't think, have you done any drafting yet so far this offseason?
Just a couple earlier when we were doing that earlier show and such. I've done a few, but I mean, some of these receivers that are coming out, these rookies, like a guy named Skye Moore. He had the largest hands, measured in the combine. 96 catches for just under 1,300 yards last year. Only had 6 drops in 176 targets in college. Ran a 4.4 40. I think he's a guy to watch out for. I think he's probably going to go 3rd, 4th round in the draft. A guy like George Pickens, he injured his ACL, but he did make it back for the national title game for Georgia. He was a huge prospect coming out of college. Big body, 6'3", 200 guy. Ran 4.4 at the combine, so I think he's a guy to look out for. Jelani Woods, the tight end from Virginia. He ran 4.6, but, I mean, that was a fast 4.6 considering he's 6'7", 253. I mean, he's got nearly just over a 34-inch wingspan. So I like this guy, Jelani Woods, as a tight end as well going forward.
Cool. So our draft is full now. We're getting an idea of where we're standing here in the draft. Snyder is the 4th pick. I'm the 6th pick. So Superflex, man, it's going to be interesting. I haven't done a Superflex draft in a long time, and I haven't done any draft underdog super. Actually, I did one. No, I haven't done any Superflex drafts so far for underdog. The one that I did before was a big board. So let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, I've played in some Superflex season long leagues. I've done some Superflexes that wise, but
yeah, I think I have too. I've done one before. I wasn't really into the format. That's another reason why I haven't drafted too much. I'm not into the format, but the thing I like about Underdog is that they give you a lot of variety. They're trying a lot of new things. The playoff drafting was awesome. So if you're an NBA fan, keep an eye out for Underdog to release some sort of a NBA playoff format draft. Snyder freaking didn't even hesitate on that Lamar Jackson pick.
Yeah, definitely an easy pick there.
I think I'll go with Burrow here. I like obviously Burrow's weapons. I like that he has an offensive line now, so we'll see how he plays out. So looking at these picks here, what's your strategy? What are you going to go for your second quarterback? Are you going to go quarterback, or are you going to go quarterback, running back? What are you thinking?
I think I tend to usually do one stud quarterback and then just try and pound out as many skill position guys as I can and try and get maybe 2 quarterbacks 6th or 7th or 8th round. A lot of people will try and pound out 2 quarterbacks right away. I think some of the value at the other skill positions can drop. I think wide receiver 2 is pretty I don't think there's a huge advantage of if you don't get one of those stud quarterbacks. I don't think there's that big of advantage drafting some of these second tier QBs versus a top 15 quarterback versus like a top 25 quarterback. I think they're pretty close within like 1 to 2 fantasy points on average per game.
Yeah, you're right on that. And like I'm kicking myself because I took Joe Burrow and I had Jonathan Taylor still on there. I wasn't paying attention. I think I would have taken Jonathan Taylor just because I think Joe Burrow is more of a like a drop back quarterback. He's not really going to pick you up a bunch of rushing yards and stuff like that. So I don't know why I drafted him in the first round when Jonathan Taylor was still there. But I'll suck it up. Because I think it would have been smarter for me to go Jonathan Taylor there in that first round, and then hope for a guy like Trey Lance or Deshaun Watson. Looks like he's going later in that second round, so I could have tried to pick up one of those dudes as my main quarterback. I'm up in 3 picks. Looking at Derrick Henry and Justin Jefferson. I don't mind taking Justin Jefferson in more of a second round type of opportunity here. Tyreek Hill just went. I don't know if I would take Tyreek in the second round with his new quarterback. Probably more of a third round value that he's going to put out next season. Snyder, what are your thoughts there? Are you still targeting Tyreek in early rounds, or are you gonna skip him unless he falls to round 3 or greater?
Yeah, I think he's gonna fall to at least round 3 for me to take him. Maybe even I don't even know if I'd take him like early round 3, maybe late round 3 for me. More than likely, I think.
Yeah, I just took Derrick Henry. Justin Jefferson was still on the board, but Derrick Henry, he was on fire in the beginning of last season. I know we have injury concerns with him, but I don't mind taking a stab at him because he still has the potential to be the number 1 overall scoring running back, and to get him in the second round, that late, kind of mid-second round, I don't mind taking a stab at that. Snyder, who'd you take as your second pick?
I went with Davante Adams.
Okay. So are you liking Carr more now that he has Adams, or what are you thinking there?
I think,
obviously. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think Carr's always been a decent quarterback. He's had those big 300+ yard games. He hasn't really had like an alpha receiver, and he's got Davante now. Hopefully this guy, he's already got 2 quarterbacks in front of me. Hopefully he passes on Carr and I can get that stack going, but we'll see. He's got 5 seconds left on the clock. He went with someone else, so I'm going to take Carr with Adams there. So I got my 2 quarterbacks there. If he would have taken Carr there, I would have went with Javonte Williams there, who I had starred next to him, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the 2 quarterbacks I got. Carr can score fantasy points, and now he's got an alpha.
Yeah, yep, I like that. I got Najee Harris with my next pick. I was debating on him and Javonte, but I still see Melvin Gordon as being kind of a threat to touches with Javonte. Although I think that Javonte can definitely overcome that. I'm still a fan of Najee. I think he's going to get a ton of work, and he's just set up for another big year. I think with Trubisky at quarterback, I think that Matt Canada is going to have a lot more opportunity to install his offense. He was more of a fan of pre-snap motion and everything like that. And with Dusty Ben Roethlisberger was more calling the shots in that offense, and he just wants to drop back with no pre-snap motion or anything like that. Completely just old-fashioned offense that Ben would prefer to play in last year. So it's good that they're getting rid of him. I think that offense is going to be a little more revolutionary this season, and I think Najee can benefit from that. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, definitely Where am I at? I'm up in 10 picks yet.
I'm up in 8. So with the format of this one, we're looking at one quarterback, one super flex, who you can also use as a quarterback. So basically 2 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers, 1 regular flex, 2 RBs, 1 tight end, and 12 bench spots. So that's what we're looking at for this draft. 2 wide receivers is interesting because it's always been 3. So that takes away, more of the need to draft a bunch of wide receivers in these drafts. Because if you can get, hell, it might make more sense to try to load up on running backs this year if that's going to be the standard. We'll have to see what happens when Best Ball Mania comes around. But if it's 2 wide receivers in Best Ball Mania instead of 3, then that, I think people will draft less wide receivers this season as far as like their bench spots.
The thing about drafting this early too is we don't know when the bye weeks are. I'm gonna gamble and just take 2 quarterbacks and hope for the best, but it could bury me here if they both get the same bye week.
No, I think with a super flex you have to do the 2 QB.
Yeah. Like, I mean, some of these guys will probably take 3 or 4 quarterbacks, or I'm just going to gamble with the 2 I got.
Yeah. Oh, you have 2? You got Carr. Yeah. That's right?
Yeah.
I am looking at, for my next pick, I am in need of a receiver, so I'm going to go with T. Higgins if he's still around, and I got Waddle as a backup. T. Higgins will go with my Joe Burrow quarterback drafting, so I'll have a little mini stack there. There we go, T. Higgins, to go along with Najee Harris and Derrick Henry. Not overly excited with my team, man. I made some early mistakes, so I'm gonna have to try to do some trickery to make this a decent draft.
Yeah, my team is. I don't have any. I just took a running back. That's my first one. I took Aaron Jones just for the upside there.
Yep. Love the upside of Jones this season.
We'll see how it goes. There's not much there for running backs. I mean, there's a couple guys there yet. Hopefully, I can get like a Fournette or something. Maybe next pick or something. Not a Fournette. I mean Dobbins.
Yeah. Dobbins, great pick. Saquon Barkley is still on the board. Antonio Gibson, I'm not overly enthusiastic about Antonio Gibson, especially with the way that he played last season. I know he was hurt. He showed some flashes. It seemed like J.D. McKissick was getting a lot of work too, so they're not ready to make him a workhorse. I think they tried to make him a workhorse in the beginning of the season, and then he just gets hurt too easy. So I just don't. I don't know what's going to happen with Gibson this season, but he could underperform depending on what his ADP is. So I'm up in 5 picks.
Yeah, I'm up in 1 pick here.
What are you leaning on there, Snyder?
It's probably going to be Hopkins for me. I like the upside of Dobbins. I mean, I could go for the Dobbins and Lamar, just trying to hog as much of that offense as possible.
Yeah.
I might just do that. I can find receivers later on. Grab two running backs then. I've got an alpha receiver and 2 legit number 1 running backs too with Lamar Jackson and Carr. So kind of got a little stack with Lamar and Dobbins there to go with the Carr and Adams stack.
Very nice. All right, so Barkley has fallen to me in the 5th round, so I'm going to take him there. So that leaves me with Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, and Saquon Barkley. I feel pretty comfortable with my running backs right now. T. Higgins is my only receiver, so I got to kind of shift my focus over to receiver at this point. There's still some decent quarterbacks on the board. If you look pretty far down, an ADP of 80 is Mitchell Trubisky. Jared Goff is hanging around 89. Davis Mills, Baker Mayfield, we don't know where he's going to end up. Marcus Mariota is 105 ADP. I would imagine he probably goes earlier than that because his trade was relatively recent, so I don't think that ADP is probably caught up to that yet. But yeah, heading up the Falcons, you can imagine that Mariota is going to be doing a lot of rushing this season.
Oh, for sure.
And he's got that familiarity with Arthur Smith, so.
Yeah, there's still a couple quarterbacks left. They're pretty dusty, but that Malik Willis they have projected pretty high, and who knows if he's even going to play.
Yep. He's going to have to land. I mean, the the knock on Willis that I'm hearing is he's got all the physical tools, but his football IQ is not quite there because he played with a smaller school, didn't he? Well, like which school is he coming out of?
Yeah, he came from Liberty. Yeah, he was all right. I mean, I played him in college DFS a couple of times, but I think he's just almost like average quarterback coming out. Like I'd almost compare him to like maybe a Mitchell Trubisky coming out of college that probably in a normal year wouldn't be a first round draft pick, but with no QB talent this year, he's going to get pushed up the board.
Yeah. Would he be, do you think, like an early second round pick? Or like where would you
I think he could
in a normal year?
In like a normal year, I'd look for him to go like second round, probably most likely. But I mean, he had a pretty good pro day. He's got a cannon on him. It looked like it'd be interesting to see how he pans out.
Yeah. So I'm up in 2 picks. I got my eyes on Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson. Mike Williams was a disappointment last season. We started off the season hot. Like we were projecting him to have a huge year because of the talk of using him like a Michael Thomas type receiver, and they did that in the beginning. But then they just shifted him back to that deep route guy. All right, so I'm with Terry McLaurin.
There you go.
Terry McLaurin. I like the upgrade there at quarterback. You know, I think even Wentz can bring out some good value in McLaurin this season.
I'm gonna go with the upside of Mike Williams there. He's still there. I think that's pretty good value.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't hate it. I just think for me, if the choice comes between McLaurin and Williams, I just think there's too many other competition for targets in that offense. And I think with the defense being as good as it is, that maybe Justin Herbert is throwing the ball a little bit less this season.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
So I'm up in 6 picks. Snyder, when are you? Oh, you're up before me.
I'm up in 4 picks. Yeah, I'm hoping to get like Elijah Moore or maybe Michael Thomas. I don't know if I can trust Michael Thomas. Who knows with him? I mean, he's kind of messed up in the head, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let me do a little.
And plus, Jameis Winston being the quarterback, he showed a lot of improvement last year. Like you and I were projecting in the beginning of the off season, we both had him winning over Taysom for that quarterback position, and that ended up coming to fruition. And he was looking good, man. And then he got hurt. But the question is, was that all due to Sean Payton as his coach setting him up for success? And is the new head coach going to be able to kind of replicate that? He was on the Saints coaching staff. He was the defensive coordinator, I believe. So he does have coaching underneath Sean Payton. So we'll see if he kind of continues the same philosophy there with I'm going to go with Daniel Jones with Winston. So got my second quarterback. I didn't want to wait too long on a second quarterback. I got Daniel Jones and I got Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he's got rushing upside, yeah.
Yeah, I figured the rushing upside, and I like the coaching changes there. Might unlock some potential for Daniel Jones this coming season. And I think I drafted Barkley too, so I got a little bit of a stack going.
Oh yeah, there you go. You got a little giant stack.
Yep.
I ended up going with Elijah Mitchell over Michael Thomas.
Cool.
Kind of trying to get 3 running backs there. With all 3 running backs, I feel have some upside and home run threat. So
yeah,
definitely that caps off my running backs. I might take one more, but going to be looking to hit wide receiver going forward.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Michael Thomas has not been. There he goes. He just got selected. Pretty much 3 or 4 picks after his ADP. I'm looking at Pittman a little bit here. I kind of like St. Brown, but it might be a little too early for him. Darnell Mooney is still on the board. Looking at Marquise Brown. Might have to snipe that from Snyder. We got Allen Robinson. He's still on the board. Hunter Renfrow. A lot of these guys are good for PPR format, but this underdog, we're talking about a half a point per reception. So not as much value for these high volume guys. Kind of fits the format a little bit more of deeper receivers that are also heavily involved. Darnell Mooney, I think, kind of fits this format pretty good, so I might put him next on my list here. Also need a tight end, so we got to keep an eye on tight ends here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm coming up in 5 picks. Yeah, you're 2 ahead of me.
So we're starting to see the quarterbacks accumulate at the top of the board here. We got Malik Willis. Someone just took Trubisky. Jared Goff is still floating around. Rumors, like we were talking about earlier in the show, that Willis might go to the Lions with the 2nd pick. So maybe people are being a little more cautious on Goff, although I don't know how clued in most people are with where people are projected to go in the draft right now. Let's see. All right, so it's my turn. All the good receivers that I was staring at are gone. I might go with Renfrow. Yeah, I'll go with Renfrow. I'm not a huge fan of that pick. Like I said, I wanted to get a guy with more upside than just a PPR option, but I'll go with Renfrow. I went with Renfrow there.
All right, I'm going to... I said I wasn't going to take any Lions, but I might just take Hawkinson here. I think he's got pretty good upside if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm looking at Dawson Knox and Mike Gesicki as my tight end options. Zach Ertz, I don't hate. Freiermuth, wouldn't mind taking Freiermuth. Albert O is still around. So, yeah, we got some options there.
Oh, yeah, you love to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think people... Maybe the average drafter is not on Albert O just yet, because I would have figured he'd be 10th round maybe. But it looks like he's going in the 11th. I mean, that's not bad. I think at the end of Big Board, at the end of Best Ball Mania, he'll probably be going closer to the 8th round. There's going to be a lot of hype over him over the preseason and the summer off season. You'll start getting those reports on how athletic he is and how Russell Wilson's going to unlock him and stuff. But you can get him now at pick 130. I would take advantage of that value. When we drafted a couple weeks ago on the big board, I think he was going I think he was still around in the 18th round, and I ended up picking freaking Jarwin over him, which ended up being a huge mistake because Jarwin ended up disclosing. They ended up disclosing that Jarwin had a hip injury. He goes in for freaking surgery. I had no idea about it, and then they dropped him, and it looks like his recovery is going to be pretty long. So I don't even know if any teams are going to pick up Jarwin at this point. So Snyder's up here. Which way are you leaning, Snyder? Which position are you looking at?
I think I might just go with A.J. Dillon, the kind of handcuff that running. I'll get both the Green Bay running backs. And if one of them goes down, the other one's going to smash, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just kind of a little insurance policy.
Yeah, they both have standalone value regardless.
Yeah.
I think that...
we saw, A.J. Jones had some big games, and then Dillon had some big games as well. Last season is kind of like they were kind of almost going back and forth at times there for a while during the midseason.
So I just went with Dawson Knox as my first tight end. Probably waited a little bit longer than I wanted to on tight end, but I had to fill it just in case. Still looking at some good receivers here. Treylon Burks, I think that combine time is actually going to help him because I think he's going to end up on a decent team with a decent quarterback now.
Yeah.
Which rookie receivers are you looking at here?
I think like Drake London, Jameson Williams, Jahan Dodson, and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are going to be the top 5 rookie running backs coming out. I don't see like any like standalone alphas like Jamar Chase last year, but I think all 5 of these have a chance to be the number 1 wide receiver coming out of the class. If I had to like put a gun to my head, I would probably go with Drake London. He seems like the most polished guy, but he's going to go to probably the worst situation because I think he's going to get drafted first. So Jameson Williams, he was a freak at Alabama, but he tore his ACL right at the end of the year. It was really bad to see one of the Alabama receivers tore his ACL in the SEC title game, and then the next Alabama receiver tore his ACL in the national title game. It was just brutal to see. I mean, they should have won the national title, but their top 2, they had 2. If they were both healthy, I think they would both be like top 10 draft picks this year.
Yeah.
But I'm up here in 5 picks. I think I'm going to go wide receiver heavy now from here on forward.
Yeah, same here.
There's Garrett Wilson's right there. He's up there. I wonder if Drake London's went yet.
He has not. I was actually about to draft him.
Okay, yeah, I see he's 123 ADP. That's pretty good value.
Yeah, because I was looking
Garrett
at...
Wilson's 117.
I was looking at Claypool because I think Claypool could be a little undervalued this season. Just because last year he was stuck with Roethlisberger and ended up having a weaker year. But yeah, Drake London, just drafted him.
There you go.
Garrett Wilson is there. Garrett Wilson's ADP is higher than Drake London actually. Did you? He just got drafted right before.
Yeah, there he went. Yeah.
So.
I think I might go. What do I have?
I'm kind of surprised to see
Christian. I kind of like Ertz.
Ertz, yeah, I like Ertz too. I'm
kind of surprised. He's kind of gonna be swallowed up. I think there's too much going on in Miami for Gesicki to have many big weeks.
You know, I'm kind of taking the opposite stance on Gesicki. I'm thinking that he's going to end up being a good value, like because I think people are gonna think that. But usually when this happens, people think that a guy is going to get forgotten about, but he's got such a good connection with Tua that I think Tua is going to continue to throw to him when he can. I do think that his targets are going to maybe go down, but I think there'll be more quality targets because I think that McDaniel's going to be able to scheme him more into space. And I think that Tyreek and Waddle will be the focus of the defenses, and I think that'll keep Gesicki open a lot more in the red zone and spots like that where he can score some easy touchdowns. So I think that Gesicki might be down on targets, but I think his touchdown production will be increased this season because he's a trusted target of Tua. He's not a great blocker. He's more of a receiving tight end, which is good because we don't want him used like Kittle's been used the last couple seasons where he's got like zero fantasy value. So I think Gesicki will have a big touchdown year this year.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure.
Still got our boy Alberto too.
Yeah, I was looking at Michael Gallup, my last pick. I was kind of hoping he was going to still be there, so I'm going to go with Michael Gallup here as my third wide receiver.
Yeah, I like that. Not sure. I'm going to go with Christian Kirk.
There you go.
Kirk.
Yeah, I like him.
I like Gallup too. I'm just interested in seeing how his recovery goes because he was hurt pretty late in the season. So I don't know when he's going to be back to playing shape. It could be late in the preseason or early in the season, but I'm not sure what his recovery timeline is there. Do you have any ideas on that, Snyder?
Those ACLs are going. I mean, the recovery time on those are getting way advanced with how everything's going. I would expect him to be like 6 to 8 months, I think, is the new timetable for ACL. So I would kind of put him on that timetable.
Okay. So he tore it in what, like December or January?
Yeah, I think so. Like we saw that guy from Georgia, he tore his ACL and I think it was the spring practice or something. And he made it back for the end of the Georgia football season. So, I mean, that was right around that 6 to 8 month time frame. So I would expect something like that.
Okay, so maybe he's back on the practice field in July and, with a hope to start in week 1.
I think he should be back. I would expect him to be back, like maybe miss 1 week, if anything. But I think he should be back by September. I mean, he's got that 9 months basically from when he tore it. So I think that should be plenty of time, hopefully. But your guy Alberto's still there.
Yeah. Yep. And where's frickin' Snyder? Oh, okay. I don't have to worry about getting sniped.
There you go. I already got my 2 tight ends, so I'm good.
Oh, you got okay. You got which are your 2?
I went with Hawkinson and Zach Ertz.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot you got Ertz. Okay, so Albert O is my next guy that I got queued up. I like Russell Gage. I like Russell Gage a lot.
Yeah, I like that spot.
Albert O. Bye-bye.
Oh, he just went.
I'll take Hunter Henry, though. I don't mind Hunter Henry. I do think that he had a good connection with Mac Jones last year, and I think that will continue to grow this year. And I think, they'll have a little bit more experience for Mac Jones. Maybe they'll be in the red zone a little bit more, which opens up Hunter Henry for more touchdowns. But overall, I think the New England Patriots are a boring offense, other than maybe what was that rookie running back last year? Stevenson showed some good flashes last year, but they just don't use them in a fantasy friendly way. So it's hard to have any interest in the Patriots.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely a team I'm looking to avoid. My guy just went that I was going to take, Russell Gage. You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at some other receivers. I might just go with Jameson Williams there. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot on Jameson Williams. Hopefully, he falls to a good team. I mean, he's got really good upside. He was just a monster for Alabama this year until he got hurt. I mean, he made so many big plays. He was huge for us in college DFS, so I definitely like him.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Snyder's team right now. Snyder's got Lamar Jackson and Derek Carr as his quarterbacks. He's got Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, and A.J. Dillon as his running backs, so solid there. Solid there, especially with the taking the running backs a little bit later. I think you got some sneaky value in Aaron Jones and J.K. Dobbins, and I think you got sneaky value with all those running backs.
Got pretty lucky, I think.
Yeah. And then you're looking at Davante Adams, Mike Williams, Michael Gallup, and Jameson Williams as your wide receivers right now. I think it's a smart strategy to take those rookie wide receivers before anybody knows who they are, especially when you got a leg up on being familiar with all these players and their potential to land in good spots. And then you got TJ Hawkinson and Zach Ertz, so you're building a solid team. I'm a lot happier with your team than I am with mine currently.
I just took another. You up? I just took another rookie receiver. I took that Skye Moore from Western Michigan.
Yep. I'm gonna take a gamble on Kenny Galladay. I got him teamed up with my my Giants stack there, so I don't mind taking him. Not a whole lot of great receivers. I don't mind Tim Patrick now that Russell Wilson is the quarterback there. Tim Patrick has shown to be a trustable receiver in his time with the Broncos so far. So I could see Tim Patrick having a sneaky year this year, although that's probably more. Is he more of a PPR guy, or is he more of a potential like deep receiver, do you think there, Snyder?
I don't know if I have too much of an opinion on it. I could see it going. I think he might be more of a position type guy.
Yeah. Man, I'm looking at
Ricard White's there. He's the next rookie I see in this ADP here for the best ball here. Ricard White, he's a rookie running back out of Arizona State. He's got pretty good hands out of the backfield, great upside. Once he gets in space, he's got a lot of acceleration and some moves. I think he'd be a good GPP type guy or a fantasy type guy for this format.
Yeah. Right now on my team, I'm looking at Joe Burrow and Daniel Jones. I got Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, and Saquon Barkley as my current running backs. T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Hunter Renfrow, Drake London, Christian Kirk, and Kenny Galladay as my receivers, and Dawson Knox and Hunter Henry as my tight ends.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking for some of these rookie wide receivers now. Hopefully, I can get a few of them to pop.
Irv Smith.
I've got Davante Adams and Mike Williams and Michael Gallup. I feel like I have three solid wide receivers there where I can take some chances on some of these younger talents.
Gotcha. Yeah, I need to start. I'm going to take a look at running back with my next pick, I think. Looking at Jerick McKinnon is pretty interesting, especially with him still being on Kansas City. He started to show a ton of flash at the end of in the playoffs, basically. Other than that, I'm not seeing a whole lot of interesting players here. Pickens, I've heard some buzz on Pickens. What are your thoughts there, Snyder?
Yeah, Yeah, George Pickens. He's that receiver I was talking about from Georgia. Big body, 6'3", 200-pound guy. He ran a 4.42 off that injured ACL. He injured that ACL back in spring and played
Yeah.
towards the end of the season some. Had more of an impact in the national title game. Had a couple catches in those last couple of games. I think he was a huge recruit coming out of high school. I think he's got talent at the next level for sure. He's one of those guys I was kind of looking at maybe taking.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna go with Jahan Dotson. That now that Pickens is gone, I was looking at Pickens, but he got taken right before me. There you go.
I finally get to snipe one off Snyder.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm my draft.
Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going with a running back for my next pick. What are your thoughts on Brian Robinson? I've heard a little
Brian
bit of buzz
Robinson.
on him.
Yeah, he's that rookie running back out of Alabama. Alabama's kind of been hit or miss with their running backs coming out of there. I mean, they've had guys like Henry coming out of there, but they've also had guys like Trent Richardson come out of Alabama. So it's kind of boom or bust. I think Brian Robinson's, I wouldn't say he's like an elite talent, but I think he could be like a serviceable, maybe split type running back, like handle 15 carries a game or something like that.
You know, I'm kind of surprised that D'Ernest Johnson didn't end up on another team, because I was thinking that, you know, after the games that he had, he'd end up on a different team, because Kareem Hunt's still on the Browns, right? So they got Kareem Hunt, Chubb, and D'Ernest right now. I wonder if any of those guys are going to move before the beginning of the season. I guess like maybe they're going to see what happens in the draft and then kind of decide from there what to do with their running back situation.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm up here in about 6 seconds. Trying to figure out. I mean, Curtis Samuel's a guy there that could maybe make some noise. He was hurt last year, but wonder where Julio Jones is going to end up at.
Was Christian Watson the fast receiver?
I think he was one of them. Yeah, I might take him.
Did he have the 4.31? Yeah, I think he ended up.
He ran a 4.36, I think, but he's 6'4", 208, big frame.
Oh, wow.
He caught 43 passes for 800 yards last year, so
gotcha.
I think he's a decent upside wide receiver. Now I've got 7 wide receivers, and 4 of them are rookies.
Man, I'm looking at Kendrick Bourne and begrudgingly. No, I'm going to go Hayden Hurst. I'll grab a third tight end. I don't want to take any chances on bye weeks with my positions that I can only start one on. And Hurst goes with my stack of Burrow. I'm not overly excited about Curtis Samuel or Jarvis Landry, although those, you know, just not being excited about those guys could present a good value there. Oh shit. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, there's Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be interesting in Cleveland this year. I've seen some good receivers here. KJ Hamler, he's got Russell Wilson now. Could be something interesting there. McCole Hardman, going to have a much bigger role with Kansas City this season, you would think. Laviska Shenault, there's talk on him getting traded. He might end up in Kansas City. James Washington on Dallas is interesting. Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer was playing in the slot role behind Keenan Allen last season, and Keenan Allen's not getting any younger. So if anything happens to Keenan Allen, that could open up a good opportunity for Joshua Palmer. Jameson Crowder, what the hell is he still doing available? There's a lot of good wide receiver value here at the coming to the end of this draft. Robbie Anderson's even still available. I'm not overly obviously excited about him based on last season. Cedric Wilson is going to get lost in the shuffle. I'm surprised his ADP is so high. He's dealing with slot, like he's more of a slot guy, and isn't that the role that Waddle was playing last season?
Who was that again?
Jalen Waddle, like he was more of a slot receiver last season, right, for Miami.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think he could play even more of that slot role this year. Do they still have Devontae Parker? I think Tyreek's gonna be on the outside. Yeah. I think if they line up like Waddle and Hill, like Waddle in the slot and Hill on the outside, I mean that's gonna create a lot of problems for some defensive coordinators out there.
Yeah. So Cedric Wilson is probably going a little too high relative to what I would expect his role to be in that offense. I think he'll have a role for sure, but like for him to be going before guys like Beckham, who is next on my list, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's going to have Watson, and he's basically, apart from Amari Cooper, he's the only receiving threat. Unless they pick up Fuller or something like that. I'm going to go with Beckham here. I really need to grab another running back. But I just like that value so much on Beckham.
I might take a chance on this Matt Corral.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like the number one draft pick coming out. If he would have came out last year, I mean, that's how much he fell this year. Give me a stab on this kid. He's got a big arm. I mean, he's got boom bust upside. I mean, he can make a lot of bad throws, but he can put some big plays out there. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I think he had a pretty good pro day the other day too.
Yeah, I think they were kind of talking him up.
Yeah, I was watching, kind of half watching on NFL Network. I always got the NFL Network on the background in my house when I'm doing stuff. Like, it's good to have, like, just kind of subconsciously getting all that information just injected into your brain.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. So, yeah, we're looking at the next running backs. Kenyon Drake. Keyshawn Vaughn would have been interesting if Fournette didn't end up back on the team. Sony Michel is still there. Trey Sermon, Snyder's boy, is still there. Duke Johnson is interesting. How's Algier? Like, he was getting a little bit of talk earlier. What's his situation right now?
I'm not really. I don't really have much on him.
Yeah.
So I really can. Not up to date on. Oh, Tyler Algier. Yeah, he's from BYU.
Gotcha.
He's decent, like upside GBP guy. He's a bigger running back. Who am I? I might go with some Joshua Palmer here. Actually, I'm going to take Jameson Crowder.
Yep, I like Jameson Crowder.
Yeah.
That feels like that's a steal. Like in the
I didn't realize
round.
he was still on the board, so I scrolled down a little bit and I seen him, and I had like 3 seconds left to click on him.
Yep. I just grabbed Donovan Peoples-Jones. I just think that with that massive upgrade at quarterback, it could be a value there.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, Jameson Crowder on the freaking Bills, man, like that's a steal. So we gotta keep notes of this, man. Like for some of these values. I mean, I feel like for our first time drafting in Superflex, we're finding some pretty good value.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've got another guy queued up here. I think he'll fall to me here after a while. I'm pretty sure he will. A different rookie.
Different rookie?
Yeah.
I like how Snyder says I got another guy queued up because he seems
I just don't know if you're gonna
like lurking.
I don't know if you're in front of me or not.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, that was smart on your part because I'm looking for a running back right now. Pierre Strong, I'm guessing, is who. Oh no, Kyron Williams is who Snyder's looking at, isn't he?
Who's that?
Kyron Williams?
No.
No. I heard some buzz on Kyron Williams. Like, what's his situation?
Oh yeah, he's from Notre Dame, running back. I think he'll be a solid NFL running back. He's got good upside. I mean, he's had some big games in college for sure. He's had some 200+ yard games. So, yeah, I definitely think he's a good NFL player.
Yeah. Well, right
I'm
now
just gonna roll with those running backs I have, though. I think.
Yeah. Trying to throw me off.
No.
He's definitely going for a running back, folks.
No. I got 4 of those soldiers. We're just gonna roll with them.
Let's see. I only have 3. I have to go with a running back here.
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake, not overly excited about. James Cook. What's James Cook's situation?
He's a rookie from Georgia. He's great out of the backfield. I think he'd be like a third down passing type back. I don't think he's like a workhorse running back, but definitely a great change of pace guy.
Damn it. I was going to go with Eno Benjamin, but he got taken. So I'm going to instead pivot and just grab, man. I'm going to take a chance on, fuck it. I'm going to take Kenyon Drake. I was going to take a chance on Cook, but no.
Yeah, I'm going to take this rookie I have. He's a tight end out of Virginia. 24 bench press reps in the combine. 6'7", 253, just a huge frame on him. I think he's going to end up somewhere and he's still pretty fast though too. He still ran a 4.6 40 with being that big. So I think he could be definitely a matchup problem for some DCs.
Do you think that the bench press reps are correlated more with short arms?
Generally, yeah, but his wingspan was 34.25 inch, which is quite big.
Yeah. Okay. I saw like a quote from Sean Payton the other day. Someone was asking him about bench press reps, and he just goes short arms. So,
yeah, generally, yeah. You don't have as far to push that up.
Yep. Let's see. Still some guys here.
Desmond Ridder, he's an upside quarterback. He's a rookie.
I'm surprised Minshew didn't end up somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this James Cook running back then, since he's still there. I think he's got a lot of upside out of the backfield. Great third down upside guy, I think.
Yeah. So Randall Cobb is still available. Man, any one of those rookie wide receivers could end up on Green Bay. That's what's crazy. Like, and they're going to have, like a path to having a decent year. I just took Zay Jones. I think he's a little bit of a value on the Jaguars in the 19th round because it's going to be Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Marvin Jones pretty much. I think that Laviska will probably get traded, but in general he just hasn't performed. So I don't know what is going on with that dude.
Yeah, for sure. I'm up here in 9 picks. Not sure where I'm going to go here. There's a couple of rookies I was looking at. AJ Green's still there. Old dusty AJ Green. Terrence Marshall, we were on him pretty high last year.
Dontrell Hilliard might have an interesting role if they decide to lighten up the load on Derrick Henry this season.
Oh, yeah.
Because he had a few good games before Deontay Foreman started going off, and now that Deontay Foreman is no longer on the team, they could rely on Dontrell Hilliard more as a third down back. And if anything happened to... Well, I don't think he'd be a 1-for-1 with Henry. Like, if Henry got hurt, they wouldn't make Dontrell Hilliard a 3-down back. I think he'd be more of a third down option.
Oh, right on.
Out loud there.
Yeah. I see you're up next.
So I'm going to probably... I'm probably just going to take a chance on this Algier guy. I like Duke Johnson on Buffalo, and he might be taking that Zach Moss role. What do you think the chances are of Algier being a starter, or Kyron Williams?
I think Kyron. I mean, they're both pretty close. I mean, I think a lot of these teams are going to kind of transition away from like the bell cow role and just kind of run a couple of these guys forward. I think he's definitely a guy that can carry. I think they can both definitely carry 15, 20 times a game if needed.
Yeah. I should have gone with Williams, but I was just kind of brain farted my way into Algier instead.
Yeah, I think they both have similar upside, though, for sure.
Okay. Cool. So I don't feel too bad about that then.
Which one do I want is a question.
I'm looking back on it now. I didn't even need a running back there.
I'm going to take this guy out of Purdue, David Bell. He's a rookie out of Purdue. He's got big play upside. He's kind of a smaller gadget guy, like similar to Rondell Moore. But we'll see how that goes. See if he gets into the right system.
So, final team for Snyder, we're looking at Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, Matt Corral, Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon, James Cook as his running backs. For wide receivers, he got Davante Adams, Mike Williams, Michael Gallup, Jameson Williams, Skye Moore, Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson. A lot of rookies for Snyder here. Jameson Crowder and David Bell. But I don't hate it, taking stabs on them, especially the way that we've seen rookies come out of the gate these last few seasons. But they've also been paired up with their former quarterbacks for a lot of these, except for Justin Jefferson. And he's got T.J. Hawkinson, Zach Ertz, and Jelani Woods. For my final team, we are looking at Joe Burrow and Daniel Jones as my quarterbacks. Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Saquon Barkley, Kenyon Drake, Tyler Algier, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Hunter Renfrow, Drake London, Christian Kirk, Kenny Galladay, George Pickens, Odell Beckham, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Zay Jones. And then for tight end, looking at Knox, Hunter Henry, and Hayden Hurst. So, hard to kind of get a gauge on how good these drafts are, with it being our first Superflex draft. Once you do about 10 or so of these drafts, you start to get a better idea of where the value is and everything. I think we got a good look, though, at a lot of the value in this draft with some of these later round picks that we were taking and seeing available. I felt the same way with the big board draft with the tight ends. There was a ton of really good tight ends. So I still think there's some edge to drafting this early as far as the current knowledge of the NFL landscape. But ultimately, Yeah, with a Superflex draft, actually, this is going to be filled long before the season starts. So there's no harm in kind of going heavy on this one if you wanted to load up, because you're not going to have any extra info by the time this one fills up compared to the guys you're drafting against. Maybe wait until after the draft so you have a better overall picture of what teams are going to look like. But yeah, I mean, if you think that you can project some of these landing spots for some of these rookie wide receivers and stuff like that, then it makes sense to go a little bit heavier if you want to take a stand there. But ultimately, if I was drafting in this Superflex draft, I would wait until after the draft to go heavier. As far as the smaller contests on Underdog, when those $5 contests come out after the NFL draft, I'm going to be trying to max that one out, and then wait on the Best Ball Mania a little bit longer, because you know that the $5 draft is going to fill pretty quick, and the Best Ball Mania will last probably till something like August. I imagine it will fill a lot quicker this season than it did last season. Last season, I believe it was still going in September. So, Snyder, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to add here?
Not really. Pretty pleased with the team I got. I'm gonna take some shots on these rookies. With the way my team's set up, I feel like I've got like 3 legit wide receivers, and you can only play like 3 or 4 of them. So I decided to take some more shots on some of these upside guys. Hopefully, some of them translate to some pretty big games. But like how my 2 quarterbacks started out with Lamar, and then the stack with Davante Adams and Derek Carr. I think it's just going to be fun getting into. I'm looking to get more into like the rookies and sophomores drafts as the NFL draft comes through here in April. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to doing more of these as the off season continues.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and we'll do another one of these probably sometime after the draft. It'll be a lot shorter. Sorry, Snyder. This was supposed to be like an hour-long show. But, just a reminder to sign up for your Underdog account using the promo code RUNPURE, and they'll give you a $100 match on your first deposit. So you will be able to play 10 of these Superflex drafts if you want to, or just kind of hold off until that $5 contest comes out. Like I said, it's probably happened shortly after the draft as it did last year. First one they come out with is usually the Best Ball Mania. So that one has traditionally been about a $25 entry. So you'd get 4 entries into that one. But I would do it now. Get your deposit in there, lock in that deposit bonus, and then not have to worry about it in case Underdog pulls its promo at some point. So you also got the NBA playoffs coming out, and if they have anywhere near what they had with the NFL playoffs, as far as the fun of those and just kind of projecting which teams are going to go far in the NBA playoffs and whatnot, and trying to draft around that, I can tell you it was much more fun for me drafting on that, at least last season, because my regular season was a disaster. Snyder had a little bit more luck than me, but we'll see what happens. And good luck, everybody. Leave a comment. Let us know who your favorite sneaky late round picks are, or who you're mainly targeting, who you think is going to have the best seasons this year as far as teams and stuff. And good luck, everybody, and we will talk to you soon. Like and subscribe as always.